So right here is the most used piece of equipment on the farm, guarantee you that. It is very dirty right now. 2 weeks ago, it was perfectly clean. Cleaned it right before it got really cold. Well, now it's muddy, but it is what it is. You can clean it. I could clean it today, and about 24 hours it would look like this again. Just because going 12 mile an hour through the mud gets pretty dirty. Put brand new tires on it about 2 weeks ago. Things will dig through the mud. All we do with it is feed and put sawdust in it sometimes. Had this bucket for probably 10 years now. Used to run it on the old New Hollands when we fed, and then we ran it on the deer, and we still do in the summertime. So this skid loader I usually run all summer, picking bales up and bedding all the cattle in the summertime. And Dad will run the big deer skid loader when it's nice out, load and feed, and we'll load spreaders with either one of them. But this is our 2018 skid loader. It's a little under 3,000 hours. We've put 1,500 hours on it in the last year and a half since we bought it. But I went on the half with this with Dad, and we just bought this about a year and a half ago. So it's very nice in the wintertime, especially on a day like today. So here is our most used tractor on the farm, John Deere 4030. Gets probably 500-600 hours a year, almost 2 hours a day. Almost exact. And it mixes all the feed for the home farm every day, twice a day. We feed twice a day. Just put new tires on it last year. Good deep tread on them. Over 10,000 hours now with this unit. Pretty good little tractor. The reason we can't have a cab tractor, we need to extend this up for this older barn. It's on the list to do sometime. Bought this mixer about 7 years ago now. Mixed feed every day ever since, and it's a Pat's 1200 series 420 mixer. It has one screw on the inside, and it's just big enough we can still load it with all the skid loaders. Has a door. It all goes out the front. The conveyor in the front is steady. It does not go side to side. This conveyor on this side will drop down. Has a scale. This is what I mean by a screw. Turns around, it'll bring the feed from the bottom up, and then it'll go back down on the sides. It gets filled about 95% full 4 times a day to feed all the cattle here at the farm right now. Between every 2 and 3 days, this rig will get loaded, about 1/2 to 3/4 loaded, and go down to our 3rd heifer farm, and it'll feed the smaller Jerseys down there right now. You can put about 6,500 pounds max in this, all mixed up. That's really pushing it though. So we are up here at the 2nd heifer farm. We got a mixer, a skid loader, and bucket, 2 buckets, and a tire scraper up here. So starting off with the John Deere 318G skid loader here. It's a 2018, just shy of 1,000 hours. So just below that. Got the tires that came with it, so they're about shot right now. Should last till almost spring, then we'll have to switch them out. We got the feeding bucket up here. I think this is only our 2nd bucket we've had up here since we started feeding up here, 2nd or 3rd. Just a regular bucket. So we bought this skid loader in the fall of 2022. So we've had it for not quite a year and a half now. And it's quite muddy up here right now, so that's why it's as dirty as it is. And then we have our, however you want to pronounce this, J-Star feed mixer. It has augers inside, and then it unloads into the conveyor right here. Coming up here to the top, got the silo coming in too, so we got 2 augers at the bottom, 2 on top. And these are just turning, mixing up the feed. And then this one here is what kicks it out the door. So this mixer is just about shot. We've ran it for, this mixer's been used for a good 25 years at least, maybe even more than that. And we bought it well used when we got it. So in the next couple of years, we'll probably be replacing that with something. So We have this one, all it does is put the feed in the mixer and put sand in. And then this one, we just bought this bucket last year actually. It's the same exact size as that other new bucket at home, except it's tight here up on the face plate. So this hasn't got much use. It's still paint on the inside of the bucket and on the cutting edge yet, so it's pretty new. Just use it to scrape out the pit there, and then if for some reason the lots froze, which usually doesn't happen, but it'll get used then. And then we bought this tire scraper here. We just have one of these up at this farm. There's about 145 head that we keep up here. And when it rains, the lot gets really sloppy, so it's nice to have a tire scraper. I think we've had this tire scraper for probably 9 years or so now. And it's still in pretty good shape. Gets used 3 times a week. We scrape up here. So, has a little back drag on the front. So, that's about all we got up here. So walking over here, we keep our 2 manure spreaders, Bale Grinder, usually another couple tractors or some odd stuff. Just washed this unit up last week actually, trying to keep it clean. It's not working so well. It's our John Deere 4320. It's our tractor that hates the cold the most. Today it would have to be plugged in for about 12 hours to start without ether, which is kind of bad, but we burned through a lot of ether on this little tractor. It's about 115 horse, about the smallest you could put on this Bale Grinder back here. Has all year round cab. It doesn't have heating and cool, it just keeps the dust out of you, which is nice. So it's a 1972 model also. And we bought this tractor just for this Bale Grinder. We used to run an Alice tractor on here, and that was not the best thing either. Bought this Bale Grinder new about 9 years ago now. We used to just have one barn that we bedded straw with. Now we have the big barn and pen 5 here. So we put about, I would say between 12 and 20 bales of 3x3 bales through this thing a week, just depending on the weather, and that's about it. But chain in the front runs through, shoots out the spout. There's a control box in the tractor to run it. So I do about 95% of the work with this rig here. So then we have everybody's favorite tractor right here, International 1066. As you can see, it's not getting used right now. It doesn't have a cab. It's cold, you know, you don't want to use it. I did run on the manure spreader, you know, I had to give it that. She's turned up to about 190, 200, so she's got the ponies in her, but the stock, she's only about 120, 130, you know. The tack quit working, so I have no clue when the oil needs changed, but it's a red tractor, so who cares, you know. It's got the green fuel tank on it, so that kind of compensates. It's the retired bagging tractor because we need to run it on some like manure spreaders and some silage wagons for about 500 hours, and we need to sell the thing and get it out of here because it's like down here. It owes us a lot of money, and it needs to be like up here so we can get rid of it. So it's got the inner tube on the front because nobody wants to look at it. Anyways, to each their own. It's not, I mean, I'll drive it, but like I don't want to drive it all day. You'll be sore, trust me. That's just, you can make a whole video on that tractor. So this is my little tractor. John Deere A. It's a 1952, I do believe. I think Dad's is about a 1936 or so. It's a little bit older. They made John Deere A's for a long time. Same deal here. A guy was going to get rid of them, and they were in really good condition and needed very little work to them to get them up and running. You could start them both today if you wanted them to go drive them around. So they're good little antiques. We got 3 antique tractors, so every farmer's got a couple old tractors that he doesn't use as much. John Deere 3-point blade, very common attachment. Use it to plow snow, which we haven't rarely. Move dirt, level ditches, stuff like that. Got some little bunks and the old ditcher, which many have not ever seen this. So this is our old tile plow. We quit using this when I was about 3 years old. Well, I was probably 4, I guess. And we ran this thing. I don't remember ever using this, but it's on tracks. I don't even know that. It's buried. But anyways, it's an old ditcher machine. So the way it worked is the wheel will go around and it'll kick the dirt off to the side, and you'll have to come back and push the trench that you put the tile in back. So a tile plow will just bring the soil up, and it'll eventually, with weather, go back together, and you'll just have to run a disc across it. A little bit less efficient, older unit that, you know, a lot more downtime. Still got it though, it's a really cool piece. So we have our CountyLine 8124 side slinger. We bought this 9 years ago now, 8.5, something like that. And it was 2 years old when we bought it. So it's got some good use out of it. We're gonna be replacing the front tires here this spring, because they got some cracks in them. Last year we just put these big floater tires on the back for more flotation, and they're almost a third wider, and they definitely make a difference. So you can get in the field if it's a little bit more tacky, if you have to do some hauling. It's just got 2 augers inside, and you have a little flap here that'll go down all the way to like that if you gotta go along a fence row, or you can have it about like this even when you're hauling and shoot it 50 feet. It's a 1000 PTO spreader. It usually gets run on either number 1 or 2 4430 in the winter time. In the summertime it usually gets run on the 1066, a 5020, a 4620, or a 4520. This year it'll probably be a 45 or 4620 or the 1066. So this auger here kicks it out the little door. It opens up right there, and then this auger goes backward to the back and shoots it over to this one to try to keep it from jamming up, because this spreader's made for liquid. You can also run dry manure through it, but it just doesn't come out quite as fast as our other spreader. So this is a 2,400 gallon spreader. That's what the 24 means. So we had a 8024 before we bought this one, and the only difference was didn't have the flap on it, and it was just older. And then we bought this one. So this is my baby. I love this spreader. I could run it in my sleep if I wanted to. This is our CountyLine 2044. She's a vertical beater. She's a solid spreader. I recommend them. I recommend them. I'll leave it at that. The only thing that we've done, which I overload this spreader a lot, so it's kind of surprising more don't go wrong. Bought this when I was in 3rd grade. Bought this brand new from a local dealer. Only thing we've had to do to it, I replaced this cylinder this summer, and in the fall I broke this axle and we had to replace that. Other than that, I couldn't tell you a problem we had with it. We run about 600 loads of manure through it. Next year we'll probably be doing a little more. This year the side slinger was broke for a while, like it is right now, so it gets a little more manure. We back it up to the lagoon at the other farm and dump some manure off in the winter time, and it's really good for spreading pen pack. John Deere 6030, probably one of the 2nd or 3rd biggest tractor on the farm. Barely gets used just because it's a 6030, you know. You don't want to go out to the field too often with it. But it's got nice tires on the back, basically brand new. These are duals off our 4440 we put on here. They're about 60-75%. Good Firestone tractor tires with underfirst rims, and 6030. Look them up. They're a sweet tractor. A lot of power there running this spreader. I ran a lot of loads with that in the summertime. John Deere 4440, by far my favorite tractor. Gonna flip over to 10,000 hours next year, actually. Yeah, maybe the year after that. It's at 9,500 hours right now, and we've owned it since, I would say, about 5,000 or 6,000. Just put fenders on it this year, and back we put brand new tires on the back. Here's the other side of Dad's John Deere A. John Deere 4440. Good tractor, good tractor. Could not buy one for what these used to go for because of inflation these days. Here is our biggest skid loader we have. It's a John Deere 260 Series 2. It's a 2002 model, something like that. It's got some tires on it that are for cement, and they're about 35%, something like that right now. Got the bale spears me and Dad bought with our New Holland L220 3-prong bale spears. They're perfect for carrying two or three 3x3s around. You can carry 3 if you got the right guy on it. You can still flip them over though. Big old son of a gun. She's good for loading spreaders, fast pace, and cleaning pen pack. And it's got a boom that reaches about 2 foot higher than any of our other skid loaders. It's just clicked over to 6,000 hours now. So we bought this with, I believe, 1,300. So ran it for quite a few years now and had very few problems with it. Actually just got back from getting worked on, but other than that, a couple small things that for that many hours you could expect. So this is the first skid loader I really learned how to drive when I was about 7 years old. When I was about 8 years old, it went up to the second heifer farm and we brought the other one back, and I ran the living crap out of the other one when I was little, like 9-10 years old. And then last year we actually just got rid of that one and traded it off for a deer skid loader. This skid loader has about 8,400 hours, and actually 8,300. Yeah, 8,300 hours. I got 3 bald tires and I got 1 good one on. We're gonna run it until all of them pop right now. I'm gonna change the oil in about 15 hours on it. And that's a lot of hours for a skid loader. It's got a lot of hoses and just little things, a little blow. But it scrapes this barn about every 36 to 48 hours. It's got about 80 cows, 80 heifers in this, between 70 and 80 heifers in this pen. Scrape it in here, load it out. And then we move bales around with it. You can see how wore out this bucket is. This bucket, we've put a lot of crap through this little bucket here. This bucket came with the big deer skid loader when we bought it. It was used then, and it's starting to get, this will be the next bucket to be wore out. The other 2 tires are about bald, but she's a little rough unit, but she does good. Start all the help out on it, and she doesn't use much oil, I will give it that. I mean, by the time you got to put oil in it, it's time to change the oil. So this isn't any big piece of equipment for the farm. It's just a basic, I think it's a 20-foot gooseneck trailer. 2 axles on the back. Used to have 3, just got 2 now. Not 100% road legal. It's just haul scrap to the scrap yard, and that's about it because the thing's about shot. We got a bin on it we're gonna take to the scrap yard sometime. Move bales with it once in a while, but that's about it. So I got some machinery up here in the bank barn right now. We didn't have any last winter, but there's nothing. We just got some hay bales on this corner, but this other bay and a half, 2 bays is empty this time of year, so I got some stuff put in up here. So we got some hay right there, cattle below. Got about the most basic cattle trailer. It's completely shot about. Got it from a neighbor. Had alpacas. I think it's a 16-foot. It's like a Corn Pro red trailer. Nothing special. This is our unload auger. It unloads all of our grain out of our grain bin out there that I've shown you. Backstop for our ag bagger. And our tile cart with some 4-inch tile on it. Custom built. We bought this new about 5 years ago. Really nice to have one so you don't have to borrow somebody else's. So this is our John Deere 9-shank chisel plow. Actually only did 1 field with it last year in the back. Did a lot of strip tilling and disking last year instead. Usually goes on a 4630 or 5020. Usually something like that. So she's still ready to go. Just check the tires and it'll go to the field in the spring. Another thing that we don't put away, just stays out. Just some metal on it. It's nothing really that's gonna go bad. Don't quote me on how big this is. It's about 25 foot, somewhere in there. Picked it up for $1,000 2 years ago. Just use it on the hay ground usually in a couple odd fields. Field cultivators don't work the best around here. As you can see, there's a couple little things that need some fixing, but we only run about 40 acres through the year. So it was a nice, looks like we got some metal on there. It's kind of interesting. It's got a big old hitch on the back, nice harrow dragger. So put it on the 60/30 usually. That's the only thing the 60/30 did last year, just to run this thing. So good little tool to have. It just stays right here. It would take up a lot of space actually if we would put it away, and we barely ever use it. So right here is our 2 bale trailers. This dolly goes under this other one. Somebody borrowed our dolly to move something, that's why it's not hooked up. But this is what we move all of our bales with, bring them in from the fields, and sometimes take them down to the 3rd heifer farm. And especially with the straw, and sometimes we'll have to take a load of hay down there for the mama cows. So this one we just redid the deck. You can't watch the video because it's private, because YouTube doesn't like my videos when I was little, so I just made it private so they wouldn't give me a 3rd strike. But we did this deck my first year YouTube, so it was the winter of 2020, the second part of winter, first of the year there, and fixed the back, so now we can put a lot of bales on this trailer compared to what we used to. So this is the one we use the majority of the time. Usually put it on the 44/40 or sometimes the 50/20, and then this big one almost always goes on the case, just so you have plenty of weight in front of it, because it is I believe it's a 50-foot trailer. So yeah, it's just a regular trailer, flatbed trailer from back in the day with a dolly in the front. So this one, you can't it doesn't go down in the middle like this other one, so you can only stack 2 or 3 high on it, but it's not a big deal. You can still get a lot more. I think you can get right around 50 3x3 bales on this one here, so that's plenty, especially with you can't get quite that many on when you're hay, since hay's a lot heavier. But these are our bale trailers here. So we just got a couple junk gates on we gotta get off, but this one just has single wheels up front, and then the hitch, you just gotta have a hitch that has 2 pieces, and it'll go right in between and put your hitch pin in. So we're out here on the other end of the big barn, and we got 2 pieces of tillage equipment that's out here right now. So we got a 15-foot disc, John Deere disc right here. This year we pulled it with the 50/20. So the only thing this gets used for is if we do any plowing. It's a 315 disc. It doesn't fold up or anything, so just all one piece, and you lift up with this right here. And so it's just a normal disc, and then we have a telephone pole as kind of a drag on the back then. So if we don't do any plowing, then it doesn't get used, but it's just kind of a disc to level out the plowed ground, because the big Salford is kind of heavy to get through it, especially if it's wet or anything. So all the other disking gets done with the Salford, and then we also have a offset discs then for clearing it if we got any brush to clear up. So moving on is the RTC 600 15-foot column mulcher, and we haven't used this for 2 years really. I used it in one field 2 years ago just to get going, because Dad had to plant beans late that night, so we ran 2 one time. But we're gonna get rid of it this year since we don't use it anymore. Got a guy that's gonna get it from us and use it. So we upgraded to a 24-foot, so to get covered more, because we had to go over it twice, so we were just taking half a pass, and then we move over half a pass, and we couldn't keep up with a 6-row corn planter or a 15-foot drill, since this is basically the same width as both of those. So we needed something a little bit bigger so we could keep up if we had to go over it twice, and also just to get done with tillage faster, since we're always behind, it seems like. So it just lifts the dirt up and breaks the clumps up after we run the Salford disc usually if we need to make one more pass, and then it crumbles it up and packs it down back there. So this is our offset disc. We cleared about 10 acres of trees in the last 5 or 6 years, and so we bought this for the sole purpose so we wouldn't beat up our nice Salford disc. We had to put new blades. Fronts were the worst, I think, so yeah, them look like they're new. So an offset disc is just good for some heavy tillage, turning the dirt over. It's right around 10 foot wide, and pull it in a big with a big tractor to level out ground. So just a little implement we got sitting here. It doesn't get used on a regular basis, but it's a miller, but just an older disc. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's part 2 machinery tour. Covered the rest of the equipment there. Got a lot of equipment we covered, but anyways, I want to thank you all for watching. Any questions, put them down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.